Hi, thanks for joining me for another reading through the Bible in chronological order. Today we're in Joshua chapter 12. The Israelites struck down the following kings of the land and took possession of their land beyond the Jordan to the east and from the Arnon River to Mount Hermon, including all the Arabah eastward. King Sihon of the Amorites, who lived in Heshbon, he ruled from Aroer on the rim of the Arnon River along the middle of the valley, and half of Gilead up to the Jabbok River, the border of the Ammonites, the Arabah east of the Sea of Chinnereth, to the Sea of Arabah, that is the Dead Sea, eastward through Beth Jeshemoth, and southward below the slopes of Pisgah. King Og, a Bashan of the remnant of the Rephaim, lived in Ashtaroth and Edrei. He ruled over Mount Hermon, Selecah, all Bashan up to the Geshurite and Maacathite border, and half of Gilead to the border of King Sihon of Heshbon. Moses, the Lord's servant, and the Israelites struck them down, and Moses, the Lord's servant, gave their land as an inheritance to the Reubenites, Gadites, and half the tribe of Manasseh. Joshua and the Israelites struck down the following kings of the land beyond the Jordan to the west, from Baal Gad to the valley of Lebanon to Mount Halak, which ascends toward Seir. Joshua gave their land as inheritance to the tribes of Israel according to their allotments: the hill country, the Judean foothills, the Arabah, the slopes, the wilderness, and the Negev, the lands of the Hittites and Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. The king of Jericho, the king of Ai, which is next to Bethel, the king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, the king of Eglon, the king of Gezer, the king of Debir, the king of Geder, the king of Hormah, the king of Arad, the king of Libnah, the king of Adullam, the king of Makkedah, the king of Bethel, the king of Tappuah, the king of Hepher, the king of Ephek, the king of Lasharon, the king of Madon, the king of Hazor, the king of Shimron Meron, the king of Akshaph, the king of Tanakh, the king of Megiddo, the king of Kadesh, the king of Jokneam in Carmel, the king of Dor in Naphoth Dor, the king of Goim in Gilgal, the king of Tirzah, the total number of all kings, 31. Joshua was now old, advanced in age, and the Lord said to him, "You have become old, advanced in age, but a great deal of the land remains to be possessed. This is the land that remains, all the districts of the Philistines and the Geshurites, from the Shihor east of Egypt to the border of Ekron on the north, considered to be Canaanite territory. The 5 Philistine rulers of Gaza, Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron, as well as the Avites in the south, all the land of the Canaanites, from Era of the Sidonians to Aphek, as far as the border of the Amorites, the land of the Gebalites, and all Lebanon east from Baal Gad, both below Mount Hermon to the entrance of Hamath, all the inhabitants of the hill country from Lebanon to Mesrephoth and Maim, all the Sidonians. I will drive them out before the Israelites, only distribute the land as an inheritance for Israel, as I have commanded you. Therefore divide this land as an inheritance to the 9 tribes and half the tribe of Manasseh." With the other half of the tribe of Manasseh, the Reubenites and Gadites had to receive the inheritance Moses gave them beyond the Jordan to the east, just as the Lord's servant, had given them. From Aroer on the rim to the Arnon Valley, along to with a city in the middle of the valley, all the Medeba plateau as far as Dibon, and all the kings of King Sihon of the Amorites who reigned in Heshbon to the border of the Ammonites. Also Gilead and the territory of the Geshurites and Maacathites, all Mount Hermon and all Bashan to Selecah, the whole kingdom of Og and Bashan who reigned in Ashtaroth and Edrei. He was one of the remaining Rephaim. Moshe struck them down and drove them out. But the Israelites did not drive out the Geshurites and the Maacathites. So Gesher and Maacath still live in Israel today. He did not, however, give any inheritance to the tribe of Levi. This was their inheritance, just as he had promised, the food offerings made to the Lord, the God of Israel. To the tribe of Reuben's descendants by their clans, Moses gave this as their territory: from Aor on the rim of the Arnon Valley, along with the city in the middle of the valley, the whole plateau as far as Medeba, with Heshbon and all its cities on the plateau, Dibon, Bamoth, Baal, Beth Baal, Maon, Jahaz, Kedarmoth, Mephath, Kirathaim, Sibmah, and Zerath Shahar on the hill in the valley, Beth Peor, the slopes of Pisgah, and Beth Jeshemoth, all the cities on the plateau, and all the kingdom of King Sihon of the Amorites, who reigned in Heshbon. Moses had killed him and the chiefs of Midian, Evi, Rekem, Zur, Hor, and Reba, the princes of Sihon who lived in the land. Along with those the Israelites put to death, they also killed the diviner Balaam of son of Beor with a sword. The border of the Reubenites was the Jordan and its plain. This was the inheritance of the Reubenites by their clans, with the cities and their settlements. To the tribe of the Gadites by their clans, Moses gave this as their testimony or territory: Jazer and all the cities of Gilead, and half the land of the Ammonites to Aror, near Rabbah, from Heshbon to Ramoth Mizpah and Betonim, and from Mahanaim to the border of Debir. In the valley, Beth Haram, Beth Nimrah, Succoth, and Zaphon, the rest of the kingdom of King Sihon of Heshbon. Their land also included the Jordan and its territory as far as the edge of the Sea of Shinneroth on the east side of the Jordan. This was the inheritance of the Gadites by their clans, with the cities and their settlements. And to half the tribe of Manasseh, that is, to half of the tribe of Manasseh's descendants by their clans, Moses gave this as their territory. From Mahanaim through Bashan, all the kingdom of King Og of Bashan, including all of Jair's villages that are in Bashan, 60 cities. But half of Gilead and Og's royal cities in Bashan, Ashtaroth, and Edrei, are for the descendants of Machir, son of Manasseh, that is, half the descendants of Machir by their clans. These were the portions Moses gave them on the plains of Moab, beyond the Jordan east of Jericho. But Moses did not give a portion to the tribe of Levi. The Lord, the God of Israel, was their inheritance, just as he had promised them. In Joshua chapter 14. The Israelites received these portions that the priest Eleazar, Joshua son of Nun, and the family heads of the Israelite tribes gave them in the land of Canaan. Their inheritance was by lot, as the Lord commanded through Moses, for the 9.5 tribes, because Moses had given the inheritance to the 2.5 tribes beyond the Jordan. But he gave no inheritance among them to the Levites. The descendants of Joseph became 2 tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim. No portion of the land was given to the Levites except cities to live in, along with pasture lands for their cattle and livestock. So the Israelites did as the Lord commanded Moses, and they divided the land. The descendants of Judah approached Joshua at Gilgal, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite, said to him, "You know what the Lord promised Moses, the man of God, at Kadesh Barnea about you and me? I was 40 years old when Moses, the Lord's servant, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to scout the land, and I brought back an honest report. My brothers who went with me caused the people to lose heart, but I followed the Lord my God completely. On that day, Moses swore to me, 'The land where you have set foot will be an inheritance for you and your descendants forever, because you have followed the Lord my God completely.' As you see, the Lord has kept me alive these 45 years, as he promised, since the Lord spoke this word to Moses while Israel was journeying in the wilderness. Here I am today, 85 years old. I am still as strong today as I was the day Moses sent me out. My strength for battle and for daily tasks is now as it was then. Now give me this hill country the Lord promised me on that day, because you heard then that the Anakim were there, as well as large fortified cities. Perhaps the Lord will be with me, and I will drive them out as the Lord promised." Then Joshua blessed Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and gave him Hebron as an inheritance. Therefore Hebron still belongs to Caleb, son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite, as an inheritance today, because he followed the Lord, the God of Israel, completely. Hebron's name used to be Kiriath Arba. Arba was the greatest man among the Anakim, that is, the land had rest from war. Now the allotment for the tribe of the descendants of Judah by their clans was in the southernmost region, south to the wilderness of Zin and over to the border of Edom. Their southern border began at the tip of the Dead Sea on the South Bay and went south of the Scorpion's Ascent, proceeded to Zin, ascended to the south of Kadesh Barnea, passed Hezron, ascended to Adar, and turned to Karka. It proceeded to Asmon and to the brook of Egypt, and so the border ended at the Mediterranean Sea. And this is your southern border. Now the eastern border was along the Dead Sea to the mouth of the Jordan. The border of the north side was from the bay of the sea at the mouth of the Jordan. It ascended to Beth Hoglah, descended north of Beth Araba, and descended to the stone of Bohan, son of Reuben. Then the border ascended to Debir from the valley of Achor, turning north to the Gilgal, that is opposite the ascent of Adumim, which is south of the ravine. The border proceeded to the waters of En Shemesh and ended at En Rogel. From there, the border ascended Ben Hinnom Valley to the southern Jebusite slope, that is Jerusalem, and ascended to the top of the hill that faces Hinnom Valley on the west, at the north end of Rephaim Valley. From the top of the hill, the border curved to the spring of the waters of Nephtoah, went to the cities of Mount Ephron, and then curved to Bela, that is Kiriath Jearim. The border turned westward from Bela to Mount Seir, went to the northern slope of Mount Jearim, that is Chesalon, descended to Beth Shemesh, and proceeded to Timnah. Then the border reached to the slope north of Ekron, served to Shikharon, proceeded to Mount Bela, went to Jabneel, and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. Now, the western border was the coastline of the Mediterranean Sea. This was the bounty of the descendants of Judah around their clans. He gave Caleb, son of Jephunneh, the following portion among the descendants of Judah based on the Lord's instruction to Joshua. Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron. Arba was the father of Anak. Caleb drove out from there the three sons of Anak, Sheshai, Ahamim, and Talmai, descendants of Anak. From there he marched against the inhabitants of Debir, which used to be called Kiriath Sephir. And Caleb said, whoever attacks and captures Kiriath Sephir, I will give my daughter Achish to them as wife. So Othniel, son of Caleb's brother Kenaz, captured it, and Caleb gave his daughter Achsah to him as a wife. When she arrived, she persuaded Othniel to ask her father for a field. As she got off her donkey, Caleb asked her, what can I do for you? She replied, give me a blessing, since you have given me land in the Negev, give me the springs also. So he gave her the upper and lower springs. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the descendants of Judah by their clans. These were the outermost cities of the tribe of the descendants of Judah toward the border of Edom and the Negev. Kabzeel, Eder, Jagur, Kina, Dimona, Adodah, Kadesh, Hazor, Ithnan, Ziph, Telim, Belath, Hazor Hadath, Kiriath Hezron, that is Hazor, Amam, Shema, Moladah, Hazagadah, Heshmon, Beth Pelet, Hazah Shoal, Beersheba, Biziothaiah, Bela, Lim, Azim, Etolad, Chesil, Rama, Ziklag, Medbana, Sansana, Labaoth, Shilhaim, Ain, and Ramon, 29 cities in all, with their settlements. In the Judean foothills, Eshtaol, Zorah, Eshna, Zenoim, Eganim, Tupua, Enam, Jarmuth, Adolam, Sokah, Ezekah, Sharaim, Edathaim, Gedarah, and Gedarathaim, 14 cities with their settlements. Zenan, Hadashah, Bildagad, Dilan, Mispeth, Joktheel, Lachish, Boskath, Eglon, Kabon, Zlaimon, Chitlas, Gederoth, Beth Dagon, Nama, and Mekedah, 16 cities with their settlements. Libnah, Ether, Ashan, Ifa, Ishna, Nazib, Keilah, Exzib, and Marishah, 9 cities with their settlements. Ekron with its surrounding villages and settlements from Ekron to the sea, all the cities near Ashdod with their settlements. Ashdod with its surrounding villages and settlements. Gaza with its surrounding villages and settlements to the brook of Egypt and the coastline of the Mediterranean Sea. Almost there. In the hill country, Shamir, Jatir, Soka, Dana, Kiriath Sana, that is Debir, Anab, Eshtama, Anim, Goshen, Holon, Gila, 11 cities with their settlements. Arab, Duma, Eshan, Janim, Beth Tapua, Afakah, Humtah, Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, and Zior, 9 cities with their settlements. Maon, Carmel, Ziphath, Juta, Jezreel, Jokdeam, Zenoah, Cain, Gibeah, and Timnah, 10 cities with their settlements. Halhu, Bezul, Gedor, Merath, Bethanath, and Eltekon, 6 cities with their settlements. Kiriath Baal, that is Kiriath Jearim, and Rabbah, 2 cities with their settlements. In the wilderness, Beth Arabah, Midim, Sekakah, Nibshai, the city of Salt, and En-Gedi, 6 cities with their settlements. But the descendants of Judah could not drive out the Jebusites who lived in Jerusalem. So the Jebusites still live in Jerusalem among the descendants of Judah today. So that very difficult reading, even for me, to read off all of these city names, was written in the book of Joshua for a permanent record of the claim of the land that Israel had on these cities and how they were assigned to the different tribes. That would serve its nation in future times if they were to continue to follow the sabbatical laws of returning back to the original owners. Unfortunately, in Israel's history, we don't witness the enactment of the sabbatical law or the even the jubilee of law, the 50th year, ever exercised in Israel's history, so that when the nation will eventually be taken into captivity, God will claim the Sabbath for the land that the Israelites ignored. But we're told this for the reason of making it possible to know by record whose land belonged to who. Join me for another reading tomorrow through the Bible in chronological order.